I find it difficult to focus, but God will give me the wisdom to focus today. In Jesus' name, in Allah's name. Attention, please. Celebrate. Okay, well, the celebrant and the main man that we are celebrating today is very much in the house. So please, let's rise and welcome him in a very distinguished manner that he deserves. John, here alone. Anikulapo. All right, thank you. Ogunwade, thank you. We know if we allow you, you will blow till eternity. Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it's important to give focus to what we are doing here. I don't like people moving about because it's a distraction. So we're starting. Well, we just go straight to the point. We have guests, distinguished guests, that we have invited to honor our special guests. And we're going to be discussing an important topic. We all know the topic, but I can reiterate. But then let me invite our guests, starting from my big Oga, who just stepped out of the university system. I know he cannot completely step out because once you are a university don, you will forever be a university person. Fantastic. So I'm just going to introduce you. You just remain where you are. Because every seat is regarded as a high seat. Professor Duroni is in the house. Let's give him a round of applause. My big ogre. Bless you, sir. Our own Joke Silva, veteran, in the true sense of veteran. She's in the house. Thank you. Otumba Shegun Shewe, represented by Frank Meke. Frank Meke, where are you? Okay, somewhere there. Thank you, Meke. Martin Oloja, MD, EIC Guardian Newspaper Limited. Martin Oloja, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Augustine Aji Bola, former Director, Creative Services, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Mr. Augustine Ajibola, where are you? Oh, Ajibaba. Mr. Pascal Ott, former head French Cultural Center, Nigeria. Pascal Ott. God bless you, sir. Okay, that's it. That's it. Okay, so we're going to move on. Of course, you know, there's someone who is sitting in a very strategic place. This is one of the fathers who have fathered us and said to us, and is none other than Bentomoloju Benti Baba. Okay, I have got a lot and Mr. Ajibade, this man, you know, if we talk about, I want to teach Shenwon so that Nigeria can, you know, unite. Nigeria can transform to that level that we want. They have Shenwon on behalf of us. Ni Shenwon more. Ni Shenwon more. Ajibade, a round of applause for Ajibade. Frank Meke, where are you? Yeah, I've been told again, and because I knew it, that it's not proper for us to be moving about. We want to, as much as possible, capture every important item on the agenda here, which includes the way that you smile. Please smile very well and sit. Francis, share. Yeah. We're making progress, Abby. Yeah, we have the guests. So we move on to the topic, but the discussants, it's important for us to meet those who will discuss this thing that we are here to talk about. By the way, let me give you an idea of the topic so you can begin to prepare your own notes to know how to deal with Jahman. Jahman is the man we are dealing with today. Alone, we will deal with him. The topic is the art man as interventionist, celebrating Jahman at 60. Repeat, the art man as interventionist, celebrating Jahman at 60. And the keynote speaker is none other than my own oga, Professor Duro Oni. All right, discussants, Afa, check him out. Any news? CNN. Okay. Now, welcome speech. Afa has advised me that we need to formally welcome the distinguished guests here. And to do that is Chuka. Sorry? No. Afa, am I correct? Okay.
Thank you so much, TJ. I'd like to, on behalf of the LOC and Committee of Friends, first I'd like to make apology on behalf of the chair of the LOC, Mr. Steve Ayoride, who has to travel out of the country for an emergency. I'm just standing in for him as the co-chair. My name is Andrew Iro Kungboa. I'd like to welcome every one of us to this August event where we are celebrating one of our own, Jahman. So please, thank you for finding time out of your busy schedule to be with us this evening for this event. I can guarantee you that you will find the occasion quite educative and pleasurable. Thank you for coming. Please sit back and enjoy yourself. God bless you all. Tunji?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Andrew, thank you that you have not checked out. Yeah, Andrew. Okay, yeah. Next item on the agenda is to invite Mr. Shuaib Husseini. Well, he's not around. But no, let me invite somebody that I know is equally capable, qualified, and competent to deal with the matter. So, Otumba Mufu Onifade, please come and grab the mic and do justice to this item. A round of applause for Otumba Mufu Onifade. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually indeed a stampede. I'm here as a workman. That's why I decided to put on T-shirt today so that I can really be a full soldier. But this is a new task and I have to perform it. So we're going to fill up, these seats. It has to be filled up by well-meaning discussants. And I will just follow the order that I have. Let me first and foremost bring to the high table. Yes, I need to recognize my mom in the house. Although she's been around for a long time, but she's just coming in now. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming my mama, Ajay Lyset. A round of applause, please. You're welcome, ma. Please, is Ayo in the house? Ayo Arigbabu. Okay, please. You are coming to the high table now. Please, a round of applause for him. He's one of the discussants. Yes. Shola Alamutu. Shola Alamutu is not here yet. Okay, she'll join us. Molara Wood. A round of applause for her, please. Laolu Akonde, you can stay here. Yes, please. Laolu Akonde is in the house. Okay, he's joining online. So when we get there, when we get to that river, we cross it. Norbert Young is in the house. Is he here? Okay. All right. Shegun Adefila. You're welcome. Lukman Shanusi certainly we do online. Okay. Kole Odutola we also do online. Okay. The moderator, Deji Toye. Where's Deji? A round of applause for him, please. No, please stay here. Yeah, no, sorry, here, yes. Thank you. Then Akin Adeshokon. It's online. Okay, okay. The keynote speaker, please, ladies and gentlemen, for the newly retired Don, our own big uncle, Professor Duro Oni. A round of applause, please. Please, on the high table, sir. You can stay. I think those are the names I have here. So let me hand over the mic to the moderator, please. Then you can take over from here. If there's any other discussion, you introduce them yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Onifade. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, why is this making a noise? Okay, I'm just going to go straight away. Happy birthday, Jahman. Yeah. I was saying it, I was looking at the pictures of 10 years ago. It was just like last year. Happy birthday. Everything that can be said has been said about you, and a whole lot more will be said today. Okay, so.
You know, you are used to this choral stampede. You just stampede, and because it's German, so you want to stampede everybody. But then, before we move on to the discussion proper, I mean, our big brother, Onoja, we do the citation of Jahman, Anikulapo, so we have, a proper idea about why we are here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It is not long. We have summarized it somehow, because if we begin to write the citation on Jahman, we will not leave this place. You will find better citations everywhere. So many people have written theirs, including my humble self. We have written tributes. You will read better idea on Jahman. 60 gallons for culture activists, arts journalists. And I think
No, if you are not too old at 60 to stand.
we just know him as Jahman. It's like our old brother Chinwezu, only one name, and with only one name you know who you are talking about. Jahman, born January 16, 1963, into an upwardly mobile middle-class family in Agege area of Lagos. The tireless man who, as an undergraduate of theater arts at the University of Ibadan, acted in Professor Femi Osofison's play, A Restless Run of a Locust, had decided to be unconventional in life, particularly after an incident led to a reversal of fortunes for his parents, and he saw firsthand the vanity in placing hopes on riches. That experience shaped him with a restless resolve and a sense of mission and passion for humanity. After putting his journalism career on a sure footing with the help of his mentor, Ben Tomoloju, he had planned for himself not to spend more than 5 years before returning to his first love as an arts man. But events of 1993, after the annulment of Chief MKO Abiola's election, meant he would be recalled by management to cut short his culture fellowship in Germany for higher responsibility in the newsroom. First, as acting features editor, and later as the arts and media editor. It was here he gave full expression to his calling as a culture evangelist, propagating the gospel of everything art in its purest form, like no other journalist had ever done. In 2003, he was appointed editor of The Guardian on Sunday, and for another 10 years never looked back in the pursuit of his calling. Before that time, he was deputy editor news of The Guardian Daily. Jahman brought to art journalism an uncommon verve and experience. Apart from obtaining a degree in theater arts from the University of Ibadan, with strong bias for dramatic theory and criticism, he had been trained professionally in theater performance, production, and management in the Kakaki Arts Cult, headed by Ben Tomoloju, his mentor and teacher. He did not only operate as a journalist, but was also an activist who saw himself as an active participant. For him, journalism provided a veritable platform to stimulate thoughts on the arts. Jahman traversed all of the bits, including the performing arts, visual arts, literature, and cultural policies, or what he calls evangelism, where he wrote extensively and interrogated government policies and actions, or inactions of policymakers. He was undoubtedly a scourge of many a Philistine that found their way to the top of the nation's cultural space. In 2013, specifically a day before his 50th birthday, he dropped the anchor on his journalism career after a cumulative 28 years at Rootham House. That's the headquarters of The Guardian. And released his biography, Bites of Treasures, Rhythms of a Cultural Troubadour. Though his obvious forte, journalism, the arts and culture, the Adure-loving Jahman has a strength embedded in humanism, elevating and celebrating humanity. One of such ventures is the Project Jahman and his soulmate, Tony Akioso, a geologist, midwifed, and have consistently implemented for the past 3 decades, which is devoting their lives and financial resources into the celebration of arts and culture through the Committee of Relevant Arts, CORA. CORA is a Nigerian not-for-profit platform of artists and critics and a publisher. The members describe themselves as cultural landscapists and focus on social involvement and debate of cultural issues. CORA is the co-organizer behind several events in Lagos, like the quarterly Art Stampede and annually the Lagos Book and Art Festival, the Open Air Cinema Carnival and Lagos Comics Carnival. Furthermore, it is the publisher of the quarterly magazine, Lagos, the City Arts Guide, which publishes books and founded several libraries. It also serves as a platform of various forums, like the Art House Forum. In 2006, the Committee for Relevant Arts was honored with a Prince Claw Award in recognition of its energetic activities and for its leadership in enabling the contribution of dedicated civilians to stimulate the arts. He is also the executive director of IREP, Film Festival, and program director at Culture Advocates Caucus. He is a man of vast talent and effervescent energy who lives a life that leaves an indelible imprint on people. The story of his life cannot end without a word on his investment in human development, way beyond arts and journalism. And what is not included here is his character. You know, they are celebrating the artful part of Jahman, but those of us from the media know much more than that. You know, I worked with him at The Guardian, and the only thing I can say here is on page 31, I wrote a tribute on him. And one testimony that you can go away with if you haven't read it is that Jahman had a hand in the 3 title editors of The Guardian today. They all worked with him. You can find out Alabi Williams worked with him as an assistant and deputy. And he was editor of The Guardian on Sunday. He's today the editor of The Guardian Daily. And there is one of Jahman's disciples, Kabir Alabi, is the editor of Guardian on Sunday. He also worked with him. He succeeded him as art editor. He's his boy. There is a way we can call him his boy. Another one, he should be here, Chooks Nwane. It's also one of Jahman's boys. He's the editor of Saturday. So Jahman owns The Guardian. What of Templar? Templar is the news editor. Even before Templar, there is Greg Nwakuno. And the magazine that he left, he founded a magazine in Guardian Life magazine. We even commercialize it now. It's become a brand name. He founded it. Jahman established it as the Guardian editor on Sunday. And the person who is handling it as part of his responsibility, Greg Nwakuno, is also one of Jahman's boys. So there is nothing Jahman cannot fix at The Guardian. Because, as I wrote in my tribute, he's a good man. So beyond journalism, he's a good man. Not all journalists are good men. I wrote here that I would like to take a double portion of his anointing to be a good man. So happy birthday, Jahman.
MC.
Well, I mean, we can go on and on to give accolades to Orioro. Orioro. Those who were in the University of Ibadan will know Orioro. Don't worry, we will not reveal everything. Okay, Norbert, Mr. Young is supposed to be a member of this beautiful, lovely, intelligent panelists, and he's very much here. A round of applause, Norbert Young. Thank you, Norbert, for coming. Okay, we have promised that we Hello, thank you. We have the Director of Corporate Commission, UBA, Mr. Rahman Nasir in our midst, UBA. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Well, Mr. Tade Adekunle, former chairman, President, National Association of Nigerian Theatre Art Practitioners. Ms. Otumba Kayode Aderiokun is with us. We are happy that you have joined us, Otumba Kayode Aderiokun. Thank you so much, sir. Oh, Baba mi, sir. Oh no, I've grown so big. Me tell you, got far away more. Oh no, you know, arrogance don't damn me. Madam Kadira Ahmed, I saw her earlier on. If this wonderful lady, you know, she's taking journalism to another level. Thank you, Kadira. Okay, we promise that we will not talk too much. So, but what we are going to do right now is to invite the international poet, that's Akim Lasisi, to give us a short performance, and then we'll ask Auntie Joke and one or two other people to, you know, intervene before we move on to the discussion. Thank you. You are.
Ibi tákéwì ìbá ti fẹ́ dún ẹtí kéde ọmọ pariwo. You are quick to spot the sun. You are quick to spot the sun in a budding voice. For Jahman Anikulapo. Since Olosunta has crowned you the most committed priest, what else can I sing other than take the little toes to history bank? Since the gods have attested to your devotion to the dignity of the arts, what else can I chant other than tap anointing from your stubborn faith? When the sophomore painter had no canvas, you said he could sketch his dream upon your palms. Because in your addiction to tender talents of budding souls, or you love to see a Grammy grow from the nails of a guitar boy. From Uwelwe to Nubia and 1,000 more, you are quick to spot that sunlight in a budding voice. Nurtured by the truth, nurtured by conscience, but nurtured by your dissidence. The Guardian covered my nascent tongue, but for above, my pen might have been a star stranded in an eternal dark. It wasn't until IREP gave the green horn a rainbow space that I could move my tongue onto the docu screen. Oh, when they ganged up against the clay, you put the potter on the cover page. When they ganged up against our ritual steps, you splashed our dance on the center spread. When they first moved to sell the general's cap, you were the first to rouse the gods to a stampede. You said if the gods were allowed to jinx the general's cap too cheaply, whatever befell the theater will befall the museum. You said if the gods could be allowed to swallow the Jabi Lake, Anikulapo, you said the lagoon could be the next delicacy for their insatiable gods. So, since Olosunta has crowned you as the culture priest, Anikulapo, what else could I have sung other than take the little toes to the central bank? Since the gods have attested to your devotion to the dignity of the hearts, whatever could I have sung other than tap that anointing from your stubborn faith? Anikulapo ló ní kí gbogbo lé. Kàmí àlàgbé ngọ́mọ everybody náà ni. Mo bọ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run ọba. Ìdùmarè tó jẹ́ ká rọjọ́ òní kákíyà là lókè. Ó wà gbogbogbò gẹ́gẹ́ bí olúgbòǹgbò tí máa gbó. Ṣùgbọ́n lọ́wọ́ aláràbùrà bí òní dàgbà àyà. Ọ̀la ńlé, olè dídín. Múwámúwá làpá ẹyẹ lédún, wágbà níta àṣẹ. Ìgbà eré làkèké, ìgbèrè làkèké lálẹ́ omi Jahman kọ́ ọmọ ríre ni Kàmí àlàgbé ọmọ láìsí nù kí gbogbo lé. Ẹ mọ̀ pé rémògùn kúkú ni mí, èjì wa ń dé ara àlàgbẹ̀dẹ ọmọ awórin tún rírọ ìrìmọ̀gùn ọmọ àyòyó ti jẹ́ ìdígbọ̀sọ́. Mbà tètè ìdáyé alágbẹ̀dẹ ń fà kúkú mọ́ jẹ́, torí bò òfin náà wà ló ṣe. Òfin náà wà ló ṣe, mọ́dọ́mọ́ fínà mọ́ ń bẹ lẹ́yìn ìlágbé.
Láyé olúgbọ́n òkè bòrùn méje ẹ ó máa gbọ́ yín lónìí o. Láyé àrẹ̀sà òkè bòrùn mẹ́fà ẹ ó máa gbọ́ yín. Bóyá láyé Jahman àwa làkókò ara rán ara sanyán bàbá sọ àfọ̀n. Lẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́ yóò dùn àbọ̀lẹ́ yìí.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Àbọ̀lẹ̀ ló lè pélé yóò dùn àbọ̀lẹ̀. Àbọ̀lẹ̀ ẹ lọ jókòó àbọ̀lẹ̀. Ó ga jù, a round of applause please Um, but let me say to you that we have a lot of pressure. We don't even know how to deal with Jahman. There's so much to talk about, to reveal, to express, to share. But God will give us the wisdom to handle Jahman's program. No, God will give us the wisdom. But there is this handsome man here. He belongs to, if you permit me, the Yoruba theater expression. His name is Alaiji Adenrele Akiade of Tampan, Yoruba theater practitioner. Look at him very well. We appreciate your presence here. Professor Victor Awam, Ampam, David, sorry, he man to me once in a while. David Awam is very much here. He was in Ife and then he went to US. This is one guy that, you know, with him, with Funchal Labi, they killed 2-man shows, 2 character plays all over. In fact, I don't know, but you come and act one of those your 2 character plays here. Yeah, but that's a round of applause for Professor David Awam. Thank you. Okay, there is an elderly theater practitioner. I personally refer to him as Elder Edmond Onaibe. Elder, because he called you 60. You are not young. A round of applause, Elder. Elder. We have a lot of people to recognize, but don't worry, we'll be doing it bit by bit. Mr. Dele Morakio, we recognize you. God bless you. Okay, now I'm going to hand over the microphone to my big oga, Professor Droni, to do the keynote address. Once he uses his key to open this program, no going back in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much, Otumba Dr. Tunji Shotimiri. Our celebrant of today, the great Jahman himself. I salute you. I salute all the very distinguished members in this audience. Trying to recognize people would be taking a little more time, so please pardon me. My presentation, The Art Man as Indispensable Interventionist, celebrating Jahman at 60. This program has been put together by a long list of committee of friends, and they are listed in the program. I don't think for a while we've had this many people come together in celebration of one individual. And in this sense, it is because Jahman himself has celebrated so many of the people who are listed as members of this committee of friends. My name is Duro Oni. I recently retired, actually last month, from the University of Lagos after 46 years of service. You know, in the system, you retire when you are 70. So I turned 70, and of course, I had to bow out. Jahman, Anikulapo. The fear of the critic is the beginning of wisdom. And Jahman does not suffer fools gladly. Jahman can be very hard on you or anything that does not go well. Even at today's gathering, is looking around, saying, this should be like this should be going on like that. Culture advocate, culturalist, and curatist, Jahman, Anikulapo. A cursory look at the discussants today is a list of presenters themselves that could be the keynote speakers. So in the long run, I think we are going to have about 7, 8, 9 keynote speeches And at the end of it, we would all be discussing ourselves. As we all know, we know each other. And Jahman, as more often than not, played a vital role in giving us all visibility. Perhaps three presenters that are not discussants that are not here would have been WS himself, FO, and BJ. The initiated will be familiar with these initials, WS, FO, and BJ. But of course, we are happy that WS did send in his own presentation, which is on the cover of the program that you have there. In very tiny print, he has an incredible description of the person and personality of Jahman. Now, the discussants, we have Molara Wood here, Lukman Sanusi online, Kole Odutola online, Norbert Young here, Shola Lamutu Ayo Arigbadu is here, Dr. Aki Adeshokon is out there, Shegun Adefila is out there, and Laolu Akonde. And of course, we have our moderator with us. Journalists and artists. There's always this famous saying and belief that the relationship which exists between journalists and artists around the world is strained. There is some truth in this statement based on past happenings between the two parties. However, the roles played by journalists towards the development of arts can hardly be ignored in any way. They have helped in ensuring that the art scene is functioning effectively in various parts of the world through some constructive criticism. And in this instance, we have an artist and also a critic all rolled in one in the person of Jahman. Beyond being a critic, of course, he's an editor, culturalist, motivator, and organizer. The modern parlance these days that we get to hear is influencer. But Jahman has influenced a lot more in the direction of culture, arts in Nigeria than anyone that I know of recent with his journalism and his advocacy. He is the person who keeps the chief executives of information and culture parastatals on their toes. I had the privilege once of being the chief executive of one of the parastatals. And you will not believe that the chief executives were used to organizing parties and envelopes at the end of the year for journalists and all of that. And then they would get very bad reviews because Jahman would not be part of it. What Jahman wanted is that what are your activities so that his journalists can go out to report those activities. It is not your brown envelope or your Christmas and New Year party. It is what it is that you have done for the year. What have been your activities? And knowing that very well, I never ran foul of Jahman because we ensured that we had a whole lineup of activities throughout the time that I was in CBAC. Jahman is quite a bundle. I think it's the octopus that has 8 legs, Abi. I was trying to find another animal that has more than 8 legs because Jahman is more than an octopus. Millipede. Yeah, but Jahman is creative, he's diligent, he's consistent, he's hardworking, he's focused, he's very confident, and let me say, he's very prudent. Jahman would not be part of a wasteful exercise in terms of having budgets that are just padded. He's also loyal with very high integrity. I recall not too long ago, one of Jahman's lecturers from UI said he was to come for an event, I think at Freedom Park. And they had made an arrangement for him to arrive a day before and to leave the day after. And this big-time lecturer of his said, oh, please, can you keep me for 1 week? Jahman said, there is no budget for it. Please, you arrive, we keep you, you have your presentation, then you leave the following day. And that was Jahman. By a series of engagements and appointments that I've had in the last 30 years, maybe a little more, Jahman and I have interacted so much. In the 1990s, actually in 1990, I was SA to the Minister of Culture and Social Welfare. And Jahman didn't let us rest. He wondered why a soldier should be made the minister in the first instance and not someone in culture. But of course, I left the job after the minister left, which is the nature of this. And then I became director of the Center for Cultural Studies. And Jahman and Cora and all the activities that they had, we had to have in collaboration with the University of Lagos Center for Cultural Studies. I did mention earlier that, of course, there was CBAC, and CBAC also gave us an opportunity to extend the frontiers of what was going on in the culture and, in some respect, the tourism sector. Then, our Center for Cultural Studies has to transmute to becoming a Department of Creative Arts. And I invited Jahman, and I said, look, we are going out of the performance and research area. We are going now into the creative arts with degree programs at the bachelor's, at the master's, and the PhD. And we sat down, went to a few places, and were able to bring out a program that has been acknowledged. So I thank you, Jahman, for your contribution to that. Then, of course, there was the issue of, I was dean of the faculty and deputy vice chancellor and all of that. But in all of this, some of our interactions have been so varied. I did a little trick. I searched for Jahman's name on my emails and to see at what we did together. Of course, the art stampedes were very, very many. There was always an art stampede for one event or the other and all of that. Jahman just keeps the culture and the theater up on their toes all the time. So we had an art stampede for Steve Rhodes, may his soul rest in peace. And then from nowhere, Adeyemo Da Costa also passed on, and there was a stampede. Then Dapo Adelugba turned 70. Then there was a stampede. Then Nigeria University Theatre Arts Students Association were having problems, and Jahman stepped in to help to resolve the matter. Of course, the University of Ibadan Theatre Arts Department then turned 50, and it was a whole range of activities up to from Lagos all the way to Ibadan and the rest of them. Then Kole Omotosho turned 70, and there was also an event. Then we had the Soyinka International Conference in 2014, and Jahman was the master organizers. And we went from Lagos and went to Abeokuta and had the performance of Death and the King's Horseman. Then some other engagement had to do with Hakim Shita. Those who are old enough would remember Hakim Shita, the documentarist and photographer. He was all over the place. From nowhere, there was a growth. And he said it was a pain in his neck. And the pain in his neck took him to Ibadan, some operation in Ibadan. Then took him to the UK, some operation in the UK. And by the time Hakim Shita came back, he was no longer an Hakim Shita. Only recently, Jelili Atiku, I think, was picked up for doing some performance on the streets of Lagos. And Jahman was at the forefront of organizing how to get him out of the place. Then, of course, the LABAF was there, the IATC. Anytime I wanted to reach Wole Soyinka, the only person I could talk to find out which part of the world he was in was Jahman. Because you could never tell at any point where Professor Wole Soyinka was. Only recently, maybe not too recent, from 2018, a gentleman by name of Moses Ayom invited Jahman and I and a couple of others. He had what he called the Heritage Africa Village Square. This was a man with no theater background, not any culture background or anything. And Jahman sat with him and organized the place, built an outdoor theater, had the space for exhibitions, had so much to do. Earlier on, I talked about the prudency of Jahman. That prudency became more manifest when we had the events marking Dapo Adelugba's exit. Even in the midst of mourning and all of that, some people felt that it was also a time to make some money. But Jahman just stood firm. You just can't do this. So that's Jahman for you. Of course, recently, he has also celebrated Olu Obafemi at 70, Jimmy Solanke at 80, and also recently, Duro Oni at 70. There are certain critical factors that have influenced, of course, or had great influence on Jahman. One of them is Ben Tomoloju, his teacher and his oga at The Guardian. And there was nothing that Jahman did that he didn't bring in Ben Tomoloju. Please, let's give him a round of applause. The Committee for Relevant Arts has won awards and it has gone places. And we really must thank Jahman and Toyin for pushing the frontiers of what we get in this. Of course, I saw Jide Ogungbade's son earlier, and I wish that Ogungbade was still around, because he also was a critical part of the art scene in Lagos. Of course, Fred Agbeyegbe also came in from being a lawyer, writing plays, and from nowhere, between Jahman and Ogungbade, they turned, and of course Benti, they made these scripts into living productions. And that is to give you that whole background of Jahman starting as a theater artist, going into the field of art, criticism, and all of that. Some of those productions included The King Must Dance Naked, Woe Unto Death, The Last Omen, Budiso, and of course the Ajo production of monthly festival of plays. Jahman also was a critical part of the Africa Project 96, which was staged in the UK, and they had to put together a whole team that was involved. Of course, the managing director of The Guardian has given us some insight into the role of Jahman in The Guardian. Of course, from being a scriptwriter, news reporter, correspondent, staff writer, assistant arts editor, he went through the entire gamut and became the arts editor of The Guardian. Now, in those days, those of us who are in the theater, until the Bentis and the Germans came, there was usually one little column tucked away in one side of the newspaper that they called the art column, art review. I mean, it was like 1/4 of a page and they put everything inside. And from nowhere, we are now getting so much attention. And we must thank all these people who have been involved in all of this. Of course, Jahman has also expressed himself at festivals all over the world and has mentored quite a number of things and events. He's been a member of some professional organizations, perhaps too many to list in a presentation like this, and has received several awards. Quite a number of people have been mentored also by Jahman. And one of those beneficiaries is sitting to my left here, Segun Adefila. At any point that Jahman had to organize some event, he made sure that the Crown Troupe of Africa played a role in it. And we are so happy for Segun Adefila, who has done this nation proud. Of course, Jahman has given support to Labaf, the Arcade Festival, to Terra Culture, to Yinka Davis, to Tosi Tume. Now, let me conclude. From the little that I've said here, it becomes quite imperative to note that the time for the world to tap into the huge mental capacity of Jahman is now. We must, as a matter of urgency, take some of his experience and take it beyond where we are now. He must get into the training university system. I know there's an academy in Magodo area, which is nurturing, but we must also get him into some theater schools to share his experience. We must also get him into the journalism schools and also in the mass communication departments to share. He's a living legend. He's a man that is so knowledgeable about the things that he does. At 60, there is no doubt that Jahman has given so much in the area of serving as an interventionist in the growth of the arts and culture in Nigeria, in Africa, and indeed globally. However, considering his boisterous energy, I think his best is yet to be seen, and the work is just about to begin. Finally, I want to thank you all, that those who have put together all these events for this celebration, and we look forward to the grand finale come November 2023 when the Book of Tributes is to be unveiled. I thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you.
I mean, what else? What are we going to add to that? Olu Jahman. Orioro. Rori Ebosheri. We will you are 60. Wa oba wa meni o ma share leshe. No, but a round of applause for Professor Droni. Hey, job. Like I said, it's really Herculean for us to deal with certain aspects of this program because there's so much happening. You get away. Okay, quick recognition. We have Victor, the Mrs. Pamela Udoka, Director of Production Services, National Troop, Nigeria. God bless you, Mrs. Pamela. We have Mr. Biodun Abe, Director, Technicals, National Troop, Nigeria. God bless you. We also have Mr. Shemori Badejo in the house. Shemori Badejo is also a coup plotter when it comes to celebrating people. All of us celebrate Shemo. God bless you. We have also the curator, CEO of My Dream Gallery, Mrs. Simidele Adesomi. Miss Simidele, God bless you. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Like I said, there's a whole lot that we would deal with here. Well, we'll still come to that. Right now, we're going to pay tributes as we play a documentary, and you will listen and watch some important contributions in this documentary. Thank you. To your right, to your right.
And by that I mean that you don't know what he achieves because you seem to see him at work on it. Somehow, the results. There is a distinctive facilitator. But if you give him a task, a chore, and without promoting him.
Many of us owe a lot to you, a guidance, and for me in particular, I'm grateful for all that you've always been there, and I can thank you. Diamonds, and may the and all the guide your steps. Bless you also. Agbalenda you, Ogami, where you need to slow down and then adjust. I know that you know what to do. To bless you. Happy.
If some of my those in the long narrative with Jahman, be pleasant in me, let's say. Most of you have your own stories and funny in your lifetime, and Jahman and I, we've lived together, in Nigeria, in Europe, States, and indeed in Haiti, where with Professor Shoyinka. Journey of life is landmarked on important. But I just want, if anything, many years dedicated service to the art and culture. Some of you know him in organizing one festival. If it's not IREP, if it's not this, it's the day of one of our legends, but it's just the who is constant. He's the person to refer to when we're talking children, that this is focus and purpose means. That's what Jahman that's for.
That's it. Sorry, I'm close to 70. What's your problem?
Right.
No, I'm sorry, Gary. Okay, that's it. We can continue to play tributes, but let's pause for now. Right now, okay, Mrs. Wemi Shashore is in the house. Mrs. Shashore, where are you? Oh, bless you. Thank you for coming. And we also have Mr. Mike Nziogo, Metro Metro something communications. Sorry, forgive me. It's not too clear the way they wrote it. Metro Communications. Well, Agbati Dekolon Shanomi. Okay, fine. Serious matter. Serious matter. Deji, grab the microphone and take us on a ride.
Thank you, Otumba. Once again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be entering to the panel now. All of us have listened to Professor Duroni, the points that he made in terms of almost an all-round conversation around Jahman, his characters, consistency, persistence, focus, but also integrity, regardless of his relationship with you and all of that. And then the different roles that he has played as a critic, as a journalist, as an artist himself, and also as mentors to younger people. We've heard testimony in regards to that from the side of journalism. We've also heard on this panel with respect to the arts as well. Also, people that have played very important roles in his life. We've had an outline of them: Uncle Benti, Uncle Ogunbade, the late Ogunbade, Fred Agbe, his collaborator Tony Akusho, and the rest of them. So this is an all-round, thing around Jahman. So I'm very happy to be able to chair this panel that will be discussing that keynote today. We have people here. We are supposed to have, we have Mr. Nobot Young, who wasn't here earlier, Then we have Ms. Molara Wood, herself a critic, journalist, art writer, and also a very trenchant one at that. He gets into trouble once in a while, Ayari Babu is an architect, but also a publisher and a writer. And just a personal note, my co-author, like 20 years ago, and Jahman wrote us a foreword to that book. We were just young guys at the time, but that's the nature of Jahman. And Shegun Adefila, who needs no introduction because Professor Oni has been gracious to introduce him to us as well, and Professor Oni. We are supposed to have three, then Sholala Mutu, Ms. Sholala Mutu, who's, I actually understand they are organizing a different event and she's had to come, so it's like different events are coming, so I imagine that she will join us before the end of this program. That's the nature of it. And online, I don't know, I need confirmation. Do we have Dr. Adeo Dutola online? Yeah, and Dr. Ade Shokan online, and Lukman Sanusi, and Laulu, 4 people online. So we are going to make this fast and quick. What I'll do is to introduce everybody and try and find maybe an angle where you're coming from, because we can come in through any of these angles. So we are going to alternate between the panel sitting here and online, and also try and find the angle. I'd like to start with Ms. Wood. Jahman as a critic, and as an art writer, as an editor, you've heard. I actually, and I don't know how many people, I first started reading you on the pages of Jahman before I then was introduced to your blog, in the age of Blogspot and the rest of it. And you also then came into Nigeria and became the editor of what at that time also became a very, very important art paper in Nigeria, Nest Magazine. So what's the nature of that relationship with Jahman, and then generally speak around the issues of art criticism in Nigeria and art reporting in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. Congratulations, Jababa, happy 60th birthday. I actually seriously wondered whether they would be able to get you to be here today. I just didn't see it. So when he came in this afternoon, it felt like a bit of a miracle, because he's always seemed to me like Professor Duroni said earlier, he has helped organized the celebrations of so many personas over so many years, a varied, a long list of people, some of whom have passed away. When someone like Alabi Pedro, for instance, passed away, Fatai Rolling Dollar, so many of those people that we used to see at OJ's, Elders Corner, the Evergreen program and all of that. And I remember in the early days, he would say to me, Jahman would say to me, oh, we need to celebrate these people. I remember coming to Nigeria August 2004, and him taking me to, I think it was at the National Stadium, I think, yes. And so many of these high life musicians who were, ahead in years, and I was taking the photographs of some of them. And so later, many years later, when some of these people passed away, I used to feel that, I felt the loss, but I also felt the gratification in, maybe the consolation, shall we say, in knowing that they were celebrated. Many of them were people who could have been forgotten. And in certain cases, some of those people, even their re-emergence, Jahman Anikulapo had something to do with it, because some people had fallen into obscurity, etc., etc. And he celebrated so many people, but he always seemed to me to be someone who, in the words of the poet, turns away from praise and never wanted the focus really on himself, even though he has a performance background himself, and he's in everything really, even as he's going back and forth organizing these things, you can see the element of the performer sometimes. So I didn't know whether he was going to concede to this today, but I'm glad he did. So yes, in terms of the relationship and my own entry into art criticism and all of that, there was the word that Professor Oni said, giving visibility to so many people, and there was the talk of so many people being Jahman's boys. Well, you're looking at one of Jahman's girls, Honestly, literally. So in 2003, when I came to the attention of Mr. Emeka Izeze, then MD and editor-in-chief of the Guardian newspaper, I was in the UK, and he agreed to take me on as a contributor to the Guardian, but he said to me, reportorials only. That was it. And then he said, well, you can, when you write your pieces, you can send them to the Sunday editor. He connected me to this guy, and the name was Jahman Anikulapo. The name alone blew me away. I had never, heard a name like that before, and I thought it was so dramatic, this flair for the dramatic. So I wrote my first piece and sent to him, and it was about the Malian musician Rokia Traore. And I suppose when he got this piece, it had never happened to him before. A foreign correspondent filing the first report ever, and it was about a music concert. It was about a musician. So he really couldn't believe him. So he couldn't believe it. So this led to a long conversation like, how come, why was this I didn't know that he was this art denizen, an art orisha, I call him, behind his back. And so that was how we made the connection, that we were actually kindred spirits in the arts. And immediately he gave me the column, the Sunday column, to write on, as he said, the broad range of the arts. Sometimes these days, even sometimes if you ask me to send you my brief bio, I might say the broad range of the arts. That came first from him. And so I started writing the column. So it all came about because of him. And of course, I wasn't based here. I wasn't part of the culture scene here. So a lot of the context that I might have needed about a lot of things, a lot of programs, for a start, he shipped off, all the Guardian literary series, sent them to me in London. So he would always give me context. Oh, this is why, give me context about people. So my induction really was very largely due to him. So, and then from there, I started to build the readership. And he did a lot to actually encourage me right from the start, because when you're writing the first time, especially, it was before the age of social media. Now, if you write something, you might get a sense for, okay, how people are responding to it, how they're taking it, whether it's sincere or not sincere. At least you get some kind of feedback. Then I was totally removed from the scene, and there was no social media. So a lot of my feedback in those early days came directly from him. And he truly believed in me. he believed in me, he praised my writing, he made me believe that I was this thing and I could do it. And it's just gone on from there. And so also coming to Nigeria, even before moving back, coming to Nigeria, I think this art stampedes used to be at the National Theatre. So a lot of that grounding about, you know, the culture scene and the organizing and all of that, it really started there. And the state of art criticism, I think that, especially, let's say, arts writing in the papers, I don't think that right now that it flowers in the way that it used to do, perhaps, say, in his day at the Guardian. I don't want to offend anybody, but there was really that sense at the time that this was a priority. This was a priority, and it's as important as, you know, the business pages and whatever. So I think I'll just stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, yes, I think. Sorry. Is this part of the show?
Hello?
Yes. Sorry, I don't know who that is. I don't know if it's Yusuf Duro Dola or Jalili Atiku. Okay, Jalili Atiku, yeah. Yes, okay. So a round of applause for Jalili Atiku. That is also in the spirit of Stampede. You know, when you don't know what's going to come on next, you know, so thank you very much. But Ms. Wood, you made your point and you made it very strongly. So I think we got it. So thank you very much. Before I go, I think I'd like to go abroad, but before that, I'd like to keep on this side of the podium. When the point was being made about, yes, I think everybody gets to speak for 4 minutes now, you know. Ms. Wood did go to also keep it, you know, moderately short. When the point was being made about the theater of the 80s up to the 90s, the Ajo experiment, Uncle Benti, and all of that. I think one of the iconic characters, for some reason I wrote a tweet about a week ago that one of our panelists abroad. Hello? Okay. I think it's back on.
Two.
Yes. And I was saying one of the iconic characters of that generation that came on stage was Norbert Young. I was actually saying, I don't know, you might want to respond to this claim that between you, Funsho Alabi and RMD, you are like the people that were, you know, very strong on stage at that time. So I'd like to get to you about Jahman as an artist. So you might have seen him at that time. I don't know if he's really joined journalism at that time or if he was professionally a journalist at the time. But I think if he was traveling between the arts and journalism, theater and all of that. So what is your account of that period? And how do you think his background in the arts and theater contributed to the kind of art journalism that Ms. Wood told us, you know, came about when he was the editor of The Guardian?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Prof, sir, good evening, sir. Auntie Ajaila said, good evening, ma. Uncle Benti, Dele, good evening, everybody, please. Sorry, I didn't say Dele like that, or Dele Boraki, you're a bummy. Yeah, I met Jahman for the first time at the University of Ibadan. And as an artist, he was a very spontaneous person. I remember one particular occasion. ATAS, Association of Theater Students, was celebrating its week. And somewhere along the line, we ran short of things to do. And Jahman came to me and said, "No, but let's do something." I said, "Like what?" He said, "Let's do something called Lagos Madness." He was Baba Confusion, and I was his conductor, Molwe driver and his conductor. I mean, it was just something we put together. Well, something Jahman put together and drew me in and told me what to do. And it became the highlights of the show. When we finished, it was about 5 minutes. When we finished, the audience wanted more. They started shouting, "Lagos Madness, Lagos Madness." And Jahman ran to me. Jahman said, "Shebi, you see that you are a Christman, oh. It was you, and it was him, oh." We had to go in and did something again called Bajesu. Most of you living in Lagos then will remember one madman who was called Bajesu. Well, the young ones will not know, but we did Bajesu again. So my friendship with Jahman was developing at that time. Jahman is an actor, he's a dancer, he's a director. As a matter of fact, I think his major in the theater school was directing. Yes, because when I left Ibadan and went to University of Benin, I sent messages to him in Ibadan. "Please, I want 2 plays." Till now, he hadn't given me them. But I reminded him today that, "Man, I'm going to ask you again, you'll give me those plays because I need them for my school." Now, I cannot talk about Jahman for 4 minutes. It's not possible. He's Muslim. What do I want to say? Which one of them I want to say? Bros, Francis Unche, you know Muslim gist. He's the Oga. Muslim, I will tell you the gist too. You guys don't mind though. Muslim and his uncle were sitting in the shop. Muslim owns the shop, and the uncle was, the nephew was with him. And uncle farted. And he jokingly said, "Muslim, you ought to show." Muslim said, "I didn't mean so, I let me so. I ought to show, Muslim, ought to show." And he means so, say, "Uncle, I ought to show, Muslim." And he means so, take it. Jesus Christ. What did the man just say? According to Jahman, that's the way you give me the gist. But what the man said was, "Kilo de, kilo fajanue. Toba timba sope oso, odemo oso. Wada sope alaji mi mo so. Emi gan ma sope sorry, kilo fajanue." That's what Jahman said. The man said. Jahman. I cannot know, Mami. Jahman, you and I know now. You know, what I want to say really is that Jahman is a workaholic. We have worked very many times. And both of us, we have this habit of, when the play is starting, about hold Uncle Bentomology responsible for this. Because if you do his play, you will play like 5 characters. Only you and you wear 5 costumes. So when the play is starting, Jahman is about this size. As the play is progressing, Jahman is reducing. You know, both of us sometimes will be reducing because we would have been changing costumes, removing costumes, so we'll be lessened. You know, and then in our Africa project, Africa Jahman Exchange Program, Jahman was stage manager to 2 plays. He was actor in the 2 plays. Jahman will be the last to sleep and the first to wake up. Do the rehearsals, rally us round, and get ready, get dressed, and go to work. Every day. I started looking at this guy. I said, this Jahman, I will see if he's taking power horse or some kind of ginger drugs, all those kind of things. He doesn't even drink beer. 1 bottle of beer, Jahman is tired. So I think it's a natural flair which energizes him. You know, and Jahman is very creative. But Uncle Duro only said something earlier on when he started his speech. He said, the fear of the critic is the beginning of fear or wisdom. Now, Jahman, I happened to be anchoring a program on TV some years back. And I went to him because in school, dramatic literature and criticism was one of my best subjects. I knew Jahman was into criticism, and I decided to do an interview on him about criticism. And the first thing Jahman told me, he said, if you are a critic, you'll be hated. And I asked him, was that why you ran away from criticism? He said, well, I wouldn't know, but Uncle Dagba Deluba told me that if you are a critic, you'll be hated. And that kind of, from Dagba Deluba to Jahman, it kind of drew me away from criticism. And if you look at it today, this is one stuff that our entertainment industry is lacking. Criticism, constructive criticism. We do not have it. Everybody panders to directors. Because something Uncle Oni said also is that brown envelopes must flow. I remember clearly when I went to Jahman's office as the editor of Guardian on Sunday, his table was like the table of one Professor Ajayi in Luth. I don't know how many people know Professor Ajayi here, but when you go to his table, it's always scattered. But he knew where everything was. Jahman's table was like that in his office. I would sit down. Uncle Idonije, good evening, sir. Well done, sir. I always met you in the office. You can't remember me now, sir. I always met him in the office. Both of them would sit down on one huge mass of papers. And I'll be looking at these two gentlemen. Hey, I know say they crazy, but these people, they don't never eat. That thing I was telling you about the other day, sir, he will just put on somewhere and bring the paper, and that's it. This man is crazy, definitely. There's no way about that. Well, I could go on and on and on and on because I've come a very long way, and I agree, Jahman, when I was 60, it's so satisfying that I'm older than him. When I was 60, same time with Theo Lawson, same time with Mojiba Ntefa, same time with Edmond Naibe and Mahmoud Ali Balogu. I senior all of them in one month. So, 5, Abi? Yeah, it's almost a month. What's the difference between 5 days and this? So he celebrated, Korah celebrated all of us. So, man, you are not doing me justice. 5 minutes not reach.
So, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Young, and also for the reminiscences. Before I go to because I think I'd like to travel abroad now, I'd like to welcome Uncle Ben Idonije, that Mr. Young has, yes. That's Jahman's collaboration in a whole number of things, iLife Party, yeah. And as you've heard, many a times you go to Jahman's office in Guardian, Uncle Idonije is there. And also, Uncle Ben Idonije and the wife. You are welcome, ma'am. Yes. I mean, it used to be that when we didn't know Burna Boy, and especially when Uncle Ben used to abuse the hip-hop people, they say, after all, his grandson is one of them. But nowadays, is more known as Burna Boy's grandfather. As we now know him by Burna Boy, rather than the other way around. So you're welcome. You're welcome. And also Mr. Mahmoud Ali Balogun, we'll be introducing others. I think I'd like to, I don't know if Mr. Kole Odutola is online. Can you hear us? Can you confirm? Mr. Odutola from the Panhandle, Florida. Okay. Can Mr. Odutola, Dr. Odutola confirm that he's able to hear us? Okay, while we are waiting for that, I think we can move on, and then the next round we go to Mr. Odutola. I'd like to go to Segun Adefila, who belongs to a different generation of theater people and all of that. Almost at the time that the theater itself wasn't very vibrant again after all of the Ajo production. I like claiming this because they belong to my own generation. That between him and Wole Oguntokun actually revved back the theater of Lagos. So, but you have a different relationship than Uncle Young had with Jahman. He's your mentor. You also had the relationship of him covering you as an artist and also promoting you and all of that. So, what would you say about the role that Jahman played, you know, in the arts and in the culture production of your own generation?
Thank you very much, DG, and good evening, everybody. First and foremost, I feel very highly honored to be sitting here to talk about, I will call him Jahman today. I used to say Uncle Jahman before, but today, and I will not look at his face. You know, he brought something, he and his partner, I don't want to say partner in crime, you know, and I will not mention his name too. I'm not afraid. So I should mention Anthony Akosho and then get into trouble. No, I don't want to do that. Well, I met them in the late 90s. I think the concrete one I can remember was something organized for Professor Adelugba at the National Theatre. And that's when I started hearing about Cora, Stampede, and all whatnot. But from that very moment, I became somehow fixated on them and their cultural activities. One thing that you cannot take away from Jahman that I like him for and I don't like him for is that, you know, he sets a very, very high standard and expects you to meet up. Now, if unfortunately you're unable to meet up, I don't want to tell you the kind of things that you will face. But if you manage to meet up, he's also very generous with his praises, with his encouragements. You know, Jahman would call me up, for instance, and say there's going to be some poetry, whatever festival happening, and Crown Troop must present something. So I will call my Bariga crowd. We'll sit together that what would you do? That we need to put up something now. So what are we going to put up that we merit Jahman's approval? You know, and that kind of helped us to have some form of direction for the kind of works we've been doing over the years. I remember a particular incident where we produced Adigbabu's Moremi. So I went to look for trouble, JJ. I went to meet Jahman. Jahman, please, I need you to write about what we're doing now. Jahman said, you know, I didn't come now, so go and meet Tony. So me too. I went to meet Uncle T. Uncle T, Shebi, you saw our show. I was feeling like the next thing after sliced bread. When we saw the review in the papers, so it was a question of, do you still want to continue theater or, because there are other trades that you can do in Bariga, you know. But that's to tell you how endearing they can be if you're doing it well, and how they'll be impartial if they have to correct you, you know. So with Jahman, you can't be an artist and be relaxed, you know. It's you must be working. It takes you out, for instance. One day he took me to an amala joint. Yes, he took me to an amala joint. And that was supposed to be a space where we just eat amala, you know, drink some inspirational drinks and go home. But never so with Jahman. The topic of one book must come in there. BJ. The topic of one book or the other must come in there. And so it's like you want to go out, you have a meeting with Jahman. I think you need to do some background reading first and foremost before you go and meet him, because he will raise some questions and I'll be pretending to be intelligent too and try to measure up. And he tells me stories of his days in Kakaki. You know, sometimes when I feel like I'm so tired and we have this uncle discussion, uncle and Aburo discussion, he will tell me stories of how all the kind of things Papi Ben and Papi Jad, may so rest in peace, how they were molded in his own time. And that's kind of, you know, all the time rekindles the desire to keep doing whatever I'm known for. Lastly, it's also the run to uncle when Wahala comes. In the year 2020, COVID was out there. We used to organize one festival, community festival, Eco Theater Carnival. And one of my boys was on the street, and some police guys came to the street. I was sleeping when they came to wake me up that they were beating one of my boys and my wife. I said, "Who?" They say, "Police." So I went to the street now with all our friends too, our street soldiers. But before I could do anything, Uncle Jahman was the first person I called. Under 10 minutes, I just started getting calls from all over. Pressmen were calling me. I was getting information and also. Anyway, at the end of the day, the police came to apologize in my house. So I became a superstar on our streets. You know, we can go on and on about Uncle Jahman. We just want to say, God bless you, sir, for being who you are.
Hello? Okay. Thank you, Shegun. I don't know if we are connected online now and they can hear us. Okay. While that is being done, I think I'll just go to Ayo. Ayo Arigbabu, who has said architect, writer, for a long time directed the Laba Festival, so has worked in a whole number of ways with Jahman, mentee as well, protege, you know, of Jahman. So what do you have to say?
My first encounter with Jahman was through his writing in The Guardian. While researching for my final year thesis in Unilag in architecture, during which I was so obsessed with the idea of Mbari and the history of the Mbari movement and all that, and I wanted to create architecture that referenced that and kind of housed that energy. And this was before the internet became as widespread and became such a valuable repository for information that it is to us today. And the bulk of my research was from Jahman's writing in the Sunday Guardian. It was from Jahman's writing in the art pages of the Guardian. And then along the line, Cora, as university students, Digitoye and I were involved in a literary association on campus then called Pen Circle. And on account of that, we got to invite some people from town to gown to come and talk to us about writing and literature and all that. We were fortunate to have Tony Akisho, and I think Jahman came. Jahman came as well. So the contacts started growing from there, and then also attending Cora events. It was just natural to gravitate towards this man who was sort of doing the things that we were aspiring to do as well as young undergraduates and then graduates, and the relationship just continued. It was just natural. That was just the space I was going to exist in, and it's like Digitoye mentioned, I got to direct a few editions of Lagos Book and Art Festival, and it, as anyone can imagine, that was a very empowering experience, working directly with Jahman. I have a few photos over the years of, when a photographer will capture me standing by Jahman and Jahman is telling me something during an event, like we're exchanging information or he's giving me directives on what to do next and things like that. I always cherish those photographs because for me, they capture the essence of the relationship, of this tutor passing his experience and his knowledge across. And I don't have formal arts training in terms of having any sort of formal education or even informal education in that sense. All I have is stuff like pen circle and stuff like relating with people like Jahman. Sitting with Toyin Akiosho and Jahman and Anikulapo every other Sunday, planning choral activities, is an incredible experience. Those two would gossip about everything under the sun. If you're in this room and they know you, they've probably gossiped about you to my hearing. Don't ask me what they said about you. But the thing is that, when you talk about constructive criticism, there are experts at constructive gossiping. As you're hearing all that gossiping and you're laughing and everything, you're picking very valuable nuggets that you probably won't get if Jahman was giving a lecture in a classroom. And when thinking about Jahman's career and Jahman's legacy, one thing, the way I captured it in my mind is that this is a strong man who has also turned himself into a strong institution, referencing that age-old argument about does Africa need strong men or strong institutions. Jahman has somehow curated himself to be both. Just from his passion, from the way he engages, he doesn't engage as if he's an individual. He operates as if he's an institution. The way he even organizes himself, the way he applies himself, is rather phenomenal to see. Toyin Akiosho is another phenomenal person. But Jahman there are two sides of the same coin, but there are different sides. So it's rather pointless to try to make a comparison. One other vital part of my career that I must reference before I give the mic to Deji, where Jahman was very instrumental, as anybody would expect, was how he made a pseudo-journalist out of me. Of course, Jahman, any young person that he encountered while he was running Life magazine and all that, if he sees that you have the capacity to write, he would try to see if you could turn in something for the magazine. And naturally, I wanted to talk about design, I wanted to talk about architecture, because I already understood from my training in Unilag that compared to what one read about foreign magazines and foreign appreciation of architecture, we didn't have that same relationship with architecture and design. For example, if someone like Theo Lawson didn't design Freedom Park, most people won't even know who the architect of Freedom Park was. We don't relate with our spaces that way. And Jahman just gave me that platform, and I just ran with it. I've actually kept hard copies of most of my contributions to Life magazine, because I know it might be difficult to find online. I feel that at some point, even at a point when I was writing that column, when I wanted to research, anytime I wanted to carry out research to write the next piece, it would be hard for me to find material. At a point, the material I will find online will be my own writing. Just to show how important the opportunity Jahman gave me was. I wish I could have continued with it. I don't see too many people in that space yet. But Jahman gave a platform for that to happen, and I thank him very much for that.
Thank you, Ayo. I understand we're not successful with the online thing. Considering how heavily weighted this has been on the male side, we have everybody here is important, but we have also people who have a relationship with Jahman who would like to speak. So we'd like to wait on the side of the women. So I'd like to call on Mrs. Ajoke Silver or Mrs. Jacob. I don't, So, Miss Ajoke Silver. Okay. To give a brief talk about Jahman. Yes. Do I bring it? Do I bring it over there? Okay.
Jamu Baba. Congratulations. I got my invitation through your mentee. He sent it to me by WhatsApp, my son, Soji. And he sent it to me a couple of days ago and then sent me a reminder this morning that, and I mean, I had already clocked it in my head. But I was a bit upset that come off it. I've known Jahman for how long, and it's Soji that's now sending me the invitation for his 60th. But hey, that's the way the world is now. And it also gave me an idea of what I wanted to say about, in your tribute, because everybody has said a lot of things that, one agrees with. Your incredible facility, your incredible mind in the cultural space. I don't think we can, from the late 80s till now, we can't think of the cultural space, no aspect of the cultural space without including you in it. That your mind is just so wrapped around all that we do in the cultural space. But what I do want to mention is your amazing warmth and your amazing understanding of young people. How you understand their wanting to navigate this space that can be so difficult. For adults, it's difficult for adults, not to talk of young people. And how you then take on the young people and expand their mind. And that's what the Labaf journey has always been about. It's about getting the young to understand, to read, to understand what has gone before, what is happening in the present, and to project them into the future. You do that very well. But I've seen it even closer with what you've done with my son. And you've now decided, that's Soji, the older one. What you've done with Soji, you never leave him hanging. Whenever he comes to you, you're always so open, so ready to help him. And then a couple of months ago, I think it was, you now heard the younger one speaking. And all of a sudden, you've taken on the younger one as well under your wing. I thank you. I thank you because sometimes being a celebrity couple, it's sometimes very difficult for the children to be able to navigate that space, to be able to be their own person. As no matter how you parents try to help them to be their own people, they still need people outside your space to be able to guide them. And that you have done. And you have done so, relentlessly and joyfully, and I cannot thank you enough. And I just ask the Almighty to bless you with things that even you have not imagined. To argue with the person who is saying that at the age of 60 you will slow down. No, you're not slowing down. We don't slow down until an aunt of mine said something to me recently. She said, why are all these people asking for peace and quiet, peace and quiet? You'll get plenty of peace and quiet when you die. There's no peace and quiet now. So enjoy the incredible energy that you have. We want it. We need it in this space. And I don't see you slowing down. And please don't slow down. And the Lord will give you the energy to open the vistas of everything that you want to do. All the dreams that you have. He will pour you more and give you the energy to be able to achieve those things. And, generations to come will always know that on the face of the Nigerian earth walked a man called Jahman, in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Kadaria also has a message for you. Look at you. God bless you. Kadaria, She has a message for you from her mom.
Hi, Jahman. So I'm a bit of a Philistine when it comes to the art. And Jahman actually met my mother before he met me, because she is a writer, and they were together as part of the Association of Nigerian Authors. And she said, I should wish you a very happy birthday. You were kind to her every time you guys met. But she also said I should tell the people who organized this that why do they think Jahman only belongs to Lagos? Why didn't they send out invitations that were national so that his friends across Nigeria could be here? She says she's with you in spirit and to wish you many happy returns of the day.
Thank you, Thank you, Ms. Ahmed. A number of events are actually coming up, you know, that are going to be national, international, and the rest of it. Lastly, I'd like to call on Auntie Taiwo Ajayi-Lysert to give her own speech.
Before I do anything, let me please, first of all, say good evening, Baba.
How are you?
I will sit down. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for coming. What can I say about Jahman? Jahman's my son. Jahman's my brother. Jahman is my blanket. Jahman's my husband. Jahman belongs to me. I occasionally lend him out. He's a man of all seasons. What I like about him, we've spoken about that, it's about integrity. I like to think I'm very big on character, integrity. We're not going anywhere if we do not have character. He's a man of principle. He's dedicated to what he does. He is selfless. I'm always, to anybody who listens to me, I'm always telling them, life is not about you. This is the man who is the antithesis of Nigerians' profile. Me, myself, and I. He knows life is not about him. He knows life is about the collective, I call it. He works for the collective. He doesn't ask for anything in return. For those of you who are there, we are here. That's another thing. Jahman is respectful. He is civil. I do not like incivility. We're all here to enjoy ourselves. We're all here to pay tribute to virtues and qualities and values that are lacking in our society at the moment. And he represents all those virtues of dedication, selflessness, respect, civility, very important, and focus above all else. You have seen an example of people not focused. We're just floundering around everywhere. But how can we listen? How can we learn if we do not? Will you shut up? Please. I don't care about talking through that, but I want to use this opportunity, this occasion, to tell us what he is. He's a man of high respect, civility, and humility. Humility. We need to cultivate these qualities. We have no more, well, our moral values had gone down the drain. So we want to remind ourselves on occasions like this, especially when we have an amazing example of what we would like our lives to be and what we would expect from one another. Respect, camaraderie, selfless service. Above all else, the biggest thing we want is love. Jahman. Yeah, Jahman is love. We need more love around us. We need to think more about one another. We're not thinking enough about one another. When you get outside there, you will see how people are struggling with one another, when all they need to do is cooperate with one another, to collaborate one another. What we've heard today is people telling us about collaboration with Jahman. Is willing to say things, and is, oh, I forgot another value, another divine value, honesty. To be honest with one another and to look after one another. He doesn't care very much about himself. And when you get to that stage of life where you don't really much care about yourself, you've attained true freedom from ego, so that you have commitment for other people, commitment to other people. You take responsibility. If something goes wrong, Jahman is going to be apologizing. I am sorry. It's not his fault, too. But he knows why certain things went wrong. We don't take responsibility for our problems, right? Do we? We scapegoat all the time. I want to use this occasion. If I don't say anything, I say that this Jahman stand-up, this is an epitome of the true, strong society that I want in one man. I know it may sound that on occasions like this, like when we don't do anything about the big people and people we love, to sit down, darling. When they die, then we close the street and we kill cows and we're having parties. The man was starving while he was alive. Jahman gives you what you need while you are alive. So I want to use him as a picture of what I would like Nigeria to evolve into. That we take care of one another. That we please jettison this entitlement mentality which says that our government owes us anything. Yes, they do. But not in that way. Know that you owe one another a service. And teach the governments, the leaders, what they should do to us, for us. I want us to turn it around and celebrate your life. That when we go on from henceforth, we take care of one another. We just only don't see one another when we die. We enjoy one another when we are alive. We tap from one another's brains. Thank you for having been my brother, for having been my champion. Thank you. Keep the flag flying.
Thank, thank you very much, Auntie Lysis. So I understand that we now have a panelist online now. I saw Dr. Odutola the other time. Okay, yeah. So if Dr. Odutola comes on, so I'd just like to say we'll be rounding off on this side, and then if you get to pick them over there, then we'll pick them, and then we can. Yes. So let me start just directly from Mr. Young now. What's the last thing? Are you saying how many minutes do you have? Okay. So just to round off on this side.
Well, I'll just add that Mr. Jahman, Oladejo, Anikulapo, Eniolorun, that's your name too, bros. I just want to add that Jahman, Musliu, is the only journalist in Nigeria who will write about me without an interview. He passed that on to Shaibu Hussein. I know they call you. Jahman did an article on me when I was 40. He forgot to do when I was 50. He planned a coup with my wife and someone else to celebrate me at 60. And now he celebrated me at 62. Jahman, you don't say you write article on me, Alpha. You know, what I'm trying to say is Jahman is a very loyal kind of person. Not stupidly loyal, loyal to your job, to your work, and he's never afraid to tell you, man, this is the way it is. He's not going to pamper you. He will pamper you when you are on your job, yes, but he will not deceive you and lead you astray. And Jahman, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you. From the very first day we met at University of Ibadan, Theatre Arts Department, with all the gangsters there, Pamela Udoka, Toya Arulogun, they're all gangsters. Bandits, terrorists. They all made my stay in UI very, very memorable. And there were people you could go to, and you will always get help. Thank you very much, Jahman. God bless you at 60. Happy birthday.
Okay, before we round off on this side, I think Dr. Odutola is online now. Can you hear us, Dr. Odutola? Oh, yes. Yes, we can. How's the panhandle today?
Well, you keep calling it panhandle. It's just call it Florida, for God's sake.
Okay.
This is where we have Donald Trump, and you're calling it. Look, my lawyers will come after you, according to Jahman.
Okay.
Well, let's quickly get to the point. As Jahman is sitting there, let me tell you a secret. He's also on his device communicating with me. Conley, why aren't you speaking? All right, okay. That was just to let you know that man will not rest. If everybody's talking about when they first met Jahman, I met Jahman when I was working at NTA Channel 7. But I didn't know him. They had just put up a show on television in NTA Channel 7, Ikonikeje Atenjo show called Category Kenyon. And it was that Category Kenyon, the way for the first time I saw one camera situation used as if it was a two-camera situation. And that was Benti and Mr. Adegbola. We called him Dr. Adegbola. And he just blew us all. And I was watching in the studios when they brought in the footage. But for years that ring in my head, Kakaki, who were these people? I wanted to know a lot about them. And by the time I met Benti, I just felt for the first time in my life, this is a role model. And I'm not going to tell you exactly why, because Jahman sort of has influenced the way of dressing that I liked. You know, the bohemian Benti. Jahman just took away all of those. I'm sure Jahman is the one responsible for it, no other person. And the fact that there was a human being like that, extremely brilliant, and would write, and I would need the dictionary to read. I read, and then Jahman started to write. And if you read Jahman, he makes writing so easy. And I felt that I could write, but I wasn't a writer, I was a photographer. I was the one going around. But that was where I first encountered Jahman. And later, you all know the story of how together, after work, I would pull him and we tried to do the corner thing. The thing about Jahman is that in his other life, before this one, he was a king. And kings don't speak much. He has so much in him that he doesn't say in the public sphere, and for very good reasons. So when we tried to do the coalition of Nigerian artists, a lot of things happened, even that I didn't know about, and he would always tell me, Kole, Orombo, Orombo. We will still talk about it. Well, Jahman, you are 60 now, you better talk now, and let's know what this Oro is about. The last thing I want to, he's shaking his head. The last thing I want to talk about Jahman, which you all know, and the reason why he's showed up in a lot of stuff. I can't remember when he didn't tell me that phrase. Kole, I'm a long distance runner. I'm a long distance runner. Anytime he feels like quitting, I will return it to him. Jahman, now you be long distance runner, not me. And he will say yes, yes, and he will go on. But what I have, and I will round it up with this, is that all those who are around Jahman, you're very fortunate to be around him. I was just reading one of the interviews he gave, and it sort of opened up for me what he went through when he was in The Guardian and when he was about to leave. He said his doctors told him he was suffering from depression for a long time. You would not know it. He doesn't show it. Strong men do not show what is going on in them. But I have kept our emails over the years, and I saw a trend in it. And I just know that he's lucky to be amongst wonderful people. I mean, how could this event bring out the pastor in Joke Jacobs? Joke Jacobs is also a pastor, an evangelist, praying and binding all the forces. God, you are wonderful. Thank you, God. You know, it's only Jahman that can do a thing like that. Look at Joke also. Pastor Joke, you know, and it's so great. Please, if you open your church, I beg, I won't be treasurer. Jahman will be assistant. Ambassador, I've seen you as well. You know, it's such a wonderful thing to sit here and watch you all. You are even sitting by the pastor. Please, if you tap...
so, Dr. Odutola.
Thank you, it's over.
Oh, okay. That's the last amen, right? Thank you very much. I understand Mr. Lukman Sanusi is also online. If not, then we can just... okay, that's good. I was trying to take the opportunity to... Yes.
Yes. I've been waiting patiently. First of all, good evening, good afternoon, good day, everybody. I'm going to be very brief because I know we are running out of time and there is item 7. First of all,
sorry, yes. I think that must be NEPA in London. Yes. Okay, yes. So we can just quickly continue on this side. So Ms. Wood, is that, okay, is there a last thing that you'd like to say before we?
Okay. I'd just like to say to everyone that Jahman Anikulapo is about community. he builds community with like minds for others, for themselves, and also for society. And he holds space for people. And I would just like to honor that. And when you come to Labaf, we have a lot of festivals in this country. I was in conversation with the poet Tade Padiola recently after the last Labaf, and I was saying, you know, Labaf belongs to the people and to arts practitioners, writers, artists, and all of these who have always felt a sense of a home at this festival. And it's without prejudice. You don't have to be in his good books or whatever. And I love the way they focus. They say it's about the book. So you always have a home here at the festival. It's not about you falling out of favor. So that sense of community is something that I really, really appreciate, and I'd like to see us carry on. And then also what I was saying earlier about, you know, arts journalism, especially when he was still at the helm at The Guardian, there was a can-do spirit, I think, which infected all of us. And I took that with me also when I became arts editor at Next later. You know, like, we can do this, and we felt that what we were doing was important. And I would just like all of us to, all of us who are in writing about the arts, to refocus and to have that can-do spirit, and to know that it's very, very important. It's as important as the business pages, and it's at the very heart of everything that we're striving for in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wood. So let me start. Ayo, do you want to have your last minute?
Yeah. What I would like to say in closing will be to address a conversation I had with Jahman towards the end of last year, and it led to talking about cultural policy and the challenges, the work he's done with others. So us trying to get a cultural policy adopted for Nigeria, and the challenges we have in getting that kind of thing passed. I was supposed to, Jahman said that he would sit me down. He sent me a couple of documents, and he said he would sit me down over red wine to talk a bit more about it. Why I'm raising this is that Jahman's work, the kind of work that Jahman has done, and also Tony and Kyosho through Cora, is very unique, and it's hard to bottle in a university program like Professor Duroni was talking about, maybe getting Jahman to retire into teaching in a university, which can and should happen. But that lived experience of doing things with people like him is very valuable. And what I think will crown Jahman's efforts in the kind of society we are in is to take it beyond just someone like him plowing that path the best way he knows how. It's that same society, which is essentially us, entrenching it into a program that can run. That it's not just that, okay, it's Jahman that is doing this thing. It's that, okay, we've now seen it, we now understand it, and we've now made it a program that can run, that a Labaf can happen. And it's already happening in that other festivals are spawning all over the country using the Labaf template. So if it's about political activism or advocacy to get some of these ideas that are close to Jahman's heart, any of us that can champion it should please do and let it happen.
Okay, just to round off, I just want to say that Jahman is going beyond my generation now. He's looking at younger ones coming behind us. Why we think that we've not had enough of him, he's more interested in, nurturing young people. He has forced me to start one Bariga Poets Collective in Bariga. So we have poets in our ghetto now. Young people coming together, and it's taking us to places that those kids wouldn't have imagined going to by writing. So
So all of these little things put together just keeps on, etches the fact that Jahman is going to be around for a very, very long time. Because those who believe in children believe in the future. People who don't think about children don't think about the future. So Jahman is going to be around for a very, very long time. Just help us beg him that, like people have said, Auntie Joke, I disagree with you, ma. Uncle Jahman needs to slow down a bit. He's overusing us. By the time it's done with people like us, like we are, so we are like one tires and it's still fresh. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prof. Can you make your last yes?
Thank you very much, all the discussants. Just one thing that I'd like to add to all of this. For all that Jahman does in terms of assistance, support, and all of that, I've never had anyone who told me that he paid Jahman any money. Frankly speaking, So I wonder, how does he make a living? Why we just must get people to pay him for all the work that he does. And I think that this should be a movement that should happen. I mean, he does things for Terra Culture, he does things for Freedom Park, he does things for Labaf, he does things for Cora. How does he make a living? Who is footing the bills? I mean, in some projects, you'll get people who will do something and then they will give like a 10%, 15%, 20% for capacity building. That's for the organizers of the event. But I've never seen anyone say, oh, Jahman did something for me. I sent him a check for 2 million naira, 500,000 naira, 1 million naira. But everyone taps from him. Well, God is blessing you, but I hope they would also support you financially. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Lukman Sanusi, sorry, can we spare you a minute? I mean, you of your own accord, you went out the other time. We thought it was NEPA in London. So can you just have half a minute to make your point?
No, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. I thought maybe you don't recognize people in the diaspora, in the abroad. But anyway, I'll just but I wasn't sure whether. nominated as a minister, which will lobby and making. But Jahman is not for her because Jahman will not leak anybody's, bottom. I'm sorry to use the word. But he will continue to function. Where I come to respect Jahman was when Guardian, laid everybody off. All right? Jahman was very close to Vibes, and I thought Jahman would just switch over and join Vibes magazine because I was sure Vibes was ready to do that. Jahman, why don't you take up his job and then make money and all that? Jahman will not come to anybody to ask for money. Jahman said, one thing I will survive. And Jahman survived. He's very resilient. We are all taken from him. All of us are taken from him, and he's happy to give of himself. Jahman also reminds me of Benji and the late studio Mumbai in their third way. Because what those two have also done for the art is very remarkable. And Jahman, even though Jahman is now old, but I look at him as someone who is far older than I look at him as a papa. He's my mentor. And he's also a troublemaker.
So, Mr. Sanse, can you round off now?
Yeah, I'm going to round off.
Okay, thank you.
It should be more celebrated. His wealth of knowledge should be tapped on. Let him be a resource person in the university and continue to be an institution. Once again, I'll say, Jahman, happy birthday, and may God bless you as you continue to intervene in our profession, in our art. God bless you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We should be moving to the dinner very soon, but people can talk over dinner. Because I imagine all that remains now is tribute, reminiscence and all of that, and that's very good to do over wine and food, So let's call. Yes, I understand. Yes, the program people said that they actually will give the ambassador, priority over dinner. That's what, over dinner. Yes, there's dinner coming up, and you can talk over dinner, sir. Pardon? So, I understand you talk over dinner. Yeah. So, yes. So, let me hand over to so thank you, members of the panel. Let me hand over to the compere. Thank you very much. We are going to dinner. Mr. Shotimiri, Otuba.
A round of applause for the panelists and the discussants. Please don't go yet. Very important things to do now. Well, we appreciate. Let me announce and apologize that the AC was not and is not working at its full capacity, and that is, attributed to the design of Jahman's head. That is. The carburetor of Jahman's head gasket is burst. Thank you. Sorry. Well, everybody is going home. Nigba present you. You all have present to collect. Photo, Abi. You see the coup that they are planned? Mufo. They are planned coup. You want to present, so this is not the occasion. They will not wait for you to present anything. Okay, you can present whatever you want to give to Jahman at the dinner venue. Thank you for coming. Alaji Shuaib, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you for coming. Let us meet at the dinner place. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.